want to mention that I've been really influenced over many years by reading and seeing the work of a number of people in this room. So it's a real pleasure to think back on the reading that I did as I was beginning to use videotape, and remembering when Fred came and gave a talk at Psych and Soc Rel when I was a grad student, and who knows what influence all of that had. But thanks for all your work. And what I want to show you, I'm going to actually share the time with my grad student Andrew Dayton, who has, I think, an eye for a new way of looking at things that I didn't have until he started teaching me. And so I have my teachers here and I have my teacher here. So I'm going to be brief and just sort of provide the context. The work that, the clip that I want to show you comes from a study that was done maybe 25 years ago, in which we didn't have a very specific research question. It was, how do mothers in 4 different cultural communities support their toddlers in operating novel objects or getting into a package of cookies that we brought along so that we didn't have to tell them, get your kid a cookie. The kid was going to tell them, get me a cookie. And so this is a clip. The child is 18 months old, and what we noticed in the early, this is a clip that led to the SRCD monograph that we published in 1993. And we had that general, not very well informed question by making descriptions of what was going on in the videotapes, 14 families in each of 4 communities, about 30 or 40 page descriptions of an hour-and-a-half visit to the home, in detail in some areas that we thought were interesting, glossing in areas that we didn't. In that process, we began to notice things that we had no idea we were going to see, and 2 of them are relevant to what we want to talk about today. One is the very skilled use of simultaneous attention by both the mothers and the toddlers in this Mayan community in Guatemala, which contrasted with the kind of the attentional pattern of European American middle class families, as well as the other 2 communities. None of them did it the same way as the Mayan moms and kids. So simultaneous attention is one. The other is the extent to which the toddlers were part of the group involvement in the Mayan community, which was, it was much more dyadic or even solo in the European American middle class families. There was always a group present. In this case, the mom, the toddler, I'm there asking some interview questions. My assistant is doing some translation. I could usually understand and speak some of the Mayan, but I didn't trust myself, so my assistant is involved, is speaking. Great-grandma's over there in the green. There's a bunch of other kids around, but they're not in the scene right now. And one more comment before I show you the clip and Andy comments. We ended up using what we saw from these 30 or 40 page descriptions to develop coding categories that we then applied across the 14 families in each of the 4 communities. And the descriptions tended to be, they weren't just about the talk, and they were mostly about what were the people doing together. We started out trying to write up what was happening by separating the mom and the child, which is traditional in developmental psychology. And we realized, it has to be what are they doing together, which connects very closely to the idea of looking at them as a group rather than looking at each person's moves. Okay, so I'll show you this clip.
Casi le di siempre juntos, pero cuando ella lo hacía de los no me hacía libre. Por eso solo una vez lo hice así y una vez para el doctor, cuando le da esto. Y no cargo no voy. No hay gente.
We also looked at it, when Andy began to be involved in this project, he started looking at things differently than I, and one of the things that he was doing was looking at the clips at a slower speed. And so I want to show that to you as well. Are you ready for that one?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Object permanent.
So in recent years, we've been focusing in on collaboration in settings like this. But until Andy came along, we were looking at them at normal speed. And so then Andy began to show us some things about what we could see there, not just with speed changes, but some other things that Andy's going to tell us about.
Sure. So I know we don't have a lot of time here, but just quick, and then I'd love to talk with the room when we get a chance. So the motivation to slow it down is a lot more than just being able to see something that's hard to see. Clearly, you can catch that right off the bat, right? There's a lot more to the story at the slow speed than you catch. But first and foremost, for us, it looks like what starts as a sort of conflict resolution or the negotiation of something. At this speed, we probably wouldn't code any of it as conflict. It's a smooth collaboration throughout the thing. So just there. But and there's a lot of different, not very well synthesized terminology to talk about this, and I'm still struggling to figure out the best approach. But I come from a cognitive science, dynamical systems theory background, and so I'll refer to this as a system rather than people. It's okay because I'm supposedly native too, so I'm allowed to dehumanize them a bit, just for the sake of pointing out a strength-based approach to understanding this, right? We have different behaviors that we obviously, I'm telling in the room something, so forgive me, that you all know a lot better than me. It's not just the different modalities that we have for both expressing and sort of being in our bodies, which we use all of them. These happen at different frequencies, right? So this gesticulating frequency or this movement or negotiation with the hands is a much higher frequency than, say, posture sway is, which is naturally something about half a hertz, right? And gestures are probably around 30. I don't know the answer to that, but the ranges are there. So by slowing or speeding the video, we're highlighting oscillating behaviors that happen at a frequency outside of what we would normally perceive. By slowing it down, we get the high frequency stuff a little slower. Now we get the story with the hands. But what I first look at actually for attunement is the posture and trunk alignment. What's so beautiful about this clip, what caught my eye, and I think we'll see it maybe more in the fast one, but what you'll see if we're right, is this very fluid, flowing kind of reset of the torso of the body of mom, along with a kind of spatially complete movement of hands across the baby, actually. So she's going to move across here, and the baby's limbs pick up both the direction of the vector and the speed, so that in one key point here, mom and baby are both reaching over to this activity that threatens to upset the harmony of this system by unbalancing us both. And both mom and baby now move in perfect parallel, both their time, direction, and pacing are the same. And so this is what I was asked to look for to begin with, was a calm mutual pace as opposed to turn-taking as a way of working together to solve a problem. The problem here, in fact, is twofold, right? So rather than having one or the other of the participants' end goals realized here, it seems like we get both. Mom's going to make sure that baby eats both of those cookies, and baby's going to make sure she has both of them. And both things happen by the end of this, right? So now the story is slowed. You'll see that baby actually gets rid of the half-eaten one to mama, and then wants the one that's in the package. And then the negotiation or collaboration gets both goals met. Thank you. That's all we have time for. Yeah. Thanks. Hi. Do we have time to see Do we have time to see that one more time?
Should I just use this laptop?
Can we? Some other time.
Can you watch it for me?
Yeah, can we watch it once more?
Yeah, let's watch it once more.
I'll do it the normal speed one,
Okay,
because
good.
it's more visible, the postural
No.
sway.
Casi le dicen que es justo, pero cuando ella lo jura de Dios, no se alivia. Por eso solo una vez
So we can measure when they're attuned and when they're not from videos. Yeah.
No, hay gente.
So there were several times there when both trunks were going like this, and there's also time when they're going opposite, but they're coordinated in their oppositeness.
Yeah.
So we're thinking of this as collaboration rather than a fight, which is what we at first were thinking. It was a negotiation with them being in opposition. Wow. Any other, do we have a moment or?
We have time for one more comment or question.
I have a question. Could you all see that?
Yes.
I just think it's interesting how you actually change the video representation in order to see something different. I think that's something we don't often think about. You know, we might mark or trace it, but not slow it, speed it. Someone mentioned earlier turning off the sound. You know, it's a, sort of a collection of tools we might want to explore.
We did it really fast too, look.
The posture space is very low, so you can see it better when you speed it up, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I, just a comment quick, and that is that in listening to you and then also sort of trying to figure out what we're up to, I realize that we're all struggling, it feels like we're all struggling with a vocabulary that doesn't focus on individual behavior. It's like, how do we build up a lexicon for talking about joint behavior? It feels to me like if fight or collaboration, neither of them fit perfectly, but collaboration fits better. You know, conflict,
Yeah.
but it's also not perfect. It's better. But I feel like I even wrote the note to myself about the need to develop a lexicon that's...
Coordination sometimes works.
Coordination is best, maybe even better. But there's something about the need for that kind of vocabulary that allows us to discern what's actually happening when we're not talking about one person at a time.
That's great. Thank you.